Hi everybody, so this is Module 1, Section 2, the PHP language. If you look on the screen there, you will see the section of the module that we're covering. And there's a couple of pages of stuff here. I wanted to show you the module guides are going to contain a lot of these diagrams. This is a picture of the W3 Schools PHP tutorial table of contents. So the red stuff is stuff that we're going to more or less cover, and the blue stuff is stuff that's like sort of nice to know, good things to know about. Okay, so if you go into if you want to dig into more detail on this stuff, you can go into w3schools.com, and there's a link to it. If you don't know where it is in the resources here, go to w3schools.com, and then you can say, where is it? Learn PHP. And try the topics here that are listed in the module guide here. There's a fair bit of stuff here, but the good news is you already know most of it. So we talked in the last video about how to make a PHP program run. We looked at the echo statement, how to get output into an HTML file, or sorry, into an HTTP response. So you know now that we're executing code on the server side, and it is the basic function of the PHP program is to write all or part of the web page. So to output using echo statements the web page. That's basically what we're doing. That's the entirety of what we're doing in PHP. So like I said, the good news is you already know most of what I'm about to tell you. From Java, you know the syntax. So PHP uses the C-style syntax. If, switch, while, for, do, basic operators like plus, minus, and so on, commenting, it's all the exact same as Java. So things you know from Python, it's an interpreted language, meaning there's no compile step. You simply run the source code on the server, and it will translate it into machine language and execute it as it goes. It's also an imperative language. So you don't need a class or a main method. You can just write lines of code and it will execute them in the order that they appear. That's why the Hello World program, even though it had a bunch of HTML code in there, Hello World itself was just one line, just echo Hello World. It's also dynamically typed, so you don't need to declare variables or function types if you're using functions. You can just create a variable and assign something to it, and you can change the type of the variable that it holds from one moment to the next. Okay, so those are the basic things that you need to know. And the one thing that's maybe new, but it comes from Bash scripting and other scripting languages, is that variable names must start with a $sign. Okay, so armed with all that, I'm going to start up XAMPP here. And I'm going to go, I still have my Module 2 code that I download on the desktop here. So I'm going to go get the template again. And I'm going to go over to htdocs, which, because I'm running XAMPP, is in Windows, XAMPP, htdocs. I also have a shortcut to it over here. I'm going to create a new folder here called PHP language, PHP lang. Generally speaking, folder names should be lowercase, one word, short names. That's kind of the style for web development. So I'm going to put it in here, template.php. I'm just going to call it variables.php like that. No, I'm not going to call it variables. I'm going to call it syntax. That's what I'm going to call it. Now, just unlike the Hello World program, you don't have to necessarily follow along what I'm doing here. You can if you want, but I'm just going to go through some basic stuff, and then I'm going to give you a couple of exercises to do that I hope you'll try before the class. So let's make sure that that is running. I'm going to go over to here. Let's see. Oh yeah, localhost 8080, and the folder that I put it in inside of htdocs was php lang, I think. There it is. And if I click on syntax.php, I just an empty page because it was the template. If I view page source, I can see the raw output here, which is just this. So let's open that up. I'm inside htdocs here. Open it up with Visual Studio Code. Here it is. Let me just there we go. I'll put this over here. Okay, so there's my syntax.php document. Now what I'm going to do is, let's just start with variables. So PHP is, unlike HTML and CSS, PHP is a fully functional programming language. In theory, there's nothing you can do in PHP, nothing you can do in other languages that you can't do in PHP. No programming problems that you can solve in other languages that you can't also solve in PHP. So it's a fully functional programming language. If you want to declare a variable, you just do this, $a equals, I don't know, 10. And now we have a variable called $a, which is set to the value 10. Up here, any code that I put up here, because it's an interpreted language, the interpreter will come from top to bottom, and it's got one big global scope. So $a will be accessible down here. So down here I can go echo p a is, and then I want to concatenate $a into here. There's a couple ways to do this. The concatenation operator is dot. So this right here, I'm going to go Alt-Shift-F to, oh, that didn't do much. I'll just space it out this way. So the dot is the concatenation operator, not the plus sign like it is in Java and Python and other languages. It's the dot symbol. So this will concatenate together this string with this variable name with this string. I'm missing a quotation mark there. Save that. When I replay it over here, it'll say A is 10. If I change A to 20, save it, and reload over here, it says A is 20. If I want to look at the source code, notice the variables don't appear here. The code doesn't appear, just the output. A is 20. Okay, that's one way to concatenate. That's your general concatenation operator, is the dot. It puts strings together. But there's a much nicer way to do this in PHP. If you use a double quoted string, so with double quotes, you can just embed a variable name directly into the string like that. And because variable names start with a $sign, it can recognize them. So you see the output is exactly the same here. And you can do it, as many times as you want. So $a, A is 2020. Okay? So that's nice. There is a distinction in PHP between double and single quoted strings. So if you do single quotes like this around your string, that's called a raw string. It will not, notice the variable names aren't colored in anymore by VS Code. It will not interpret anything in there. So it just says $a. Sometimes that's a handy thing to have if you want to output $signs, for example. But most of the time you'll use double quoted, and it will interpret the variable names for you like that. There are other ways to get variables output as well. So I'm going to show you, let's say we wanted to do this again and say A is, and then we want to fill in something there. Notice now this is all written in HTML, not in PHP, not inside an echo statement. I want to just put this, and this is something you may want to do a lot in PHP programs. So for example, let's say you want to welcome the user. They've just logged in, you've gotten their name from the database, you found out that their name is Sam. You want to say, hello Sam. It's nice to be able to just have all the HTML code made and then just drop in variable names here. And you can do that, so it would be different for each user. You can do that with something called the PHP expression tag, which looks like this. It's != instead of $PHP, and you can put an expression here. So you can't put an echo statement here. You can just put a variable name or a function call or any other expression. You could do a plus 5 like that, and that would evaluate the expression and then drop in the output there. So let's do it just like this first. Save that, reload. So A is 20, exact same output, but in some ways this is nicer because you get all the syntax checking of the HTML, which you wouldn't get. Notice here it's not matching P and /P because I'm inside a string. But here my IDE, my VS Code, will match these things for me and we'll find syntax errors. So it's sometimes easier to write error-free code this way. If I go +5 like that, I can say A plus 5 is, reload. Whoops, I forgot to save it over here. Save and reload. A plus 5 is 25. Okay. Now you can also have other types of variables here. You can have strings like this, and then I can output, let's just do P, hello. I'll use an expression tag again, $B. then close the paragraph tag like that, and it'll say hello Sam. What else? We've got doubles as well. So if you add a decimal point, you've got a double. What is the other tag? Let's just have a look over here. Int float bool. Sorry, not double, float. Int float bool, you've got string. There are arrays and objects, which we'll talk about later. And there's a special value called null as well that is sometimes used for the return of... well, we'll use it in a few different places, but it basically means the same thing as it does in Java. It's the zero value for objects and strings. So $d equals null. You can use that special value in there as well. Okay, so that is, I think that's all we really need to say about variables. Other than that, they obey all the usual rules that you would expect. You can do arithmetic on them and stuff like that. The next thing I think I'd like to do maybe is, let's take a look at some control structures. So I'm going to make another tag down here. So by control structures, I mean if statements and loops, basically. So here's a for loop, for $i equals 0, $i is less than, let's use $a as the upper bound. So I'm hoping that you remember this, that this looks familiar from Java. This is the exact same for loop as in Java, it's just that you have to remember to put $signs on your variables here. So this creates a variable $i, adds 1 to it each time through, and goes up to, but not including a. So now I can say echo $i like that. And just I want you to think just for a minute before I run this about what this is going to look like. Let's put it in a paragraph. So P, Shift F, so that goes all around there. What did I do wrong? Oh, I notice the syntax error here? Unexpected open bracket, because I put it on the wrong side of the PHP tag there. Maybe we'll indent this stuff over a little bit to make it a little bit easier to see. Alt-Shift-F. So let me just type that here so you can see what I just said. Alt-Shift-F. That is the key combination to reformat things. Alt-Shift-F in VS Code will reformat things nicely for you. Okay, if I reload this over here, now it does that. Hopefully you were thinking about what this was going to do. It's just echoing out all the numbers. There's no carriage returns, so they're coming out with no space between them. If I wanted to space them out, I could do this. Put quotation marks and then put a space. So now I've created a string with a space in it that I've embedded $i into. And when I reload now, they look like that. And they're all inside a single paragraph. So over here in the source, I've got the opening paragraph and then all of the numbers and then /p. I also have, let's do a Boolean, $access equals true. So Booleans work just like they do in other languages. And down here I'll go PHP, like that, and I'll go, let's go if $access. So if it's true, basically, echo p granted. Like that, and that will work. And I can also, again, just like in Java, the else is optional, but again, the if statement otherwise just works just like it does in any other language. So access is true. If I change access to false, it says denied. Okay, here's a handy thing to do as well. There's a built-in function called var dump. So if I go var dump $a, and let's do a var dump what was the name? I think it was B. Let's have a look at that. That function, whoops, I forgot to put the, what did I do wrong here? What did I forget? I forgot the PHP tag. The PHP scripting tag that goes around all this stuff. Okay, reload that. So what this is telling me is this is the first var dump $a. It's telling me it's an integer and it holds the value 20. And var dump $b tells me it's a string of length 3, and then it shows me what the string is. So that's kind of a handy thing to be able to do. These are good to put at the end of your program or for when you're debugging. Debugging is a little bit of a challenge in PHP. And another thing you can do before you do that is put these PRE tags in here. PRE, Alt-Shift-F, stands for pre-formatted. There we go. And there, you'll get them on different lines like this. So it's the first variable, the first var dump was 20. The second var dump was a string of length 3. This is handy to have because it will always tell you if things aren't doing what you expected them to do. It will tell you the type of the variable, which is sometimes not what you expected, which is sometimes why things go wrong. Okay, let's go back and have a look here. We looked at if statements and for loops. While loops also work the same way. Switch statements. There's a do while loop as well. Oh, there is one special thing. It's highlighted here. There's an else if operator. So I can go something like this. Let's change this to if $age is greater than 20, granted, else if, all one word. So it's like the elif operator in Python, if you remember that. Is greater than 60, we'll say too old, else, then we'll do the echo denied. Okay, so you can have else if chains linked together with this else if one word like this. Whoops. Okay, so this is good. I have a syntax error. Now, syntax errors are reported directly on the page. So if I reload this, you see it didn't actually, it sort of aborted executing my script and gave me a whole error out here. Sometimes they're easier to read in the source code than they are here. But it's telling me line 36, unexpected, you got to read the whole thing carefully, unexpected open bracket, line 36. Oh yeah, actually VS Code was telling me too, but I missed it. Like that. Should be like that. Save that, reload, now it runs. It says denied, because I guess the age was, oh, well now here's something interesting too. $age doesn't exist, and it's just gave me a warning about that. But let's change $age equals 18, how about that? Reload over here, it'll say denied, $age equals 65, reload, it'll say granted. Okay, so that's the else if statement. Variable names must start with a $ character. I showed you about embedding and about concatenation, which is the dot operator. I showed you the expression tag. Here's another example of how it works. Just a few important things are left to talk about. One is weak typing. So PHP is a weakly typed language. That's not the same as dynamically typed. In weakly typed languages, you never get a type error. So here's an example. I'm doing false plus 12. Definitely not allowed in Java. I don't think it's allowed in Python either. But here, it doesn't matter what's on either side of the plus operator. It will do the operation. So in this case, it will try and convert to something that makes sense, and then it will execute the operation. In this case, it will convert to 0, false to 0, and add it to 12. Here, if I say if null is greater than or equal to 0, say null is 0, and in fact it will convert null also to 0. You can even do something like this, if hello, which just looks like garbage. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it into VS Code over here as another example. Put it after this one here. Shift F. There we go. Shift F formats it nicely for me. If I reload over here now, PHP is true, as it turns out. If I change this to the empty string, I think it's still going to be true. No, it's not. So this is interpreted as false. That is interpreted as true. So the empty string is false. Any string that's not empty is true. So like I said, you're never going to get a type error. Other languages would give you errors for doing this. You're not going to get it here. it's going to continue to execute anyway. And this can be a source of flexibility in the language, but can also be a source of really tricky errors. Here's a common error. So if I wanted to do a plus a is $a plus $a, the best way to do it, what I need to do is something like this. Oops, a plus $a. This is what I should do, like that. I believe that will work. Oops, $a plus $a. A plus a, I should have said, not a plus 1. A plus a is 40, that makes sense. If you're used to plus being concatenation, you might be tempted to do this. And what you end up with then is just 40 here. You do get some warnings, which you didn't used to get, so that's handy. But if you were just doing a is $a, like this, yeah, this isn't the best example actually. It just comes out to 20 because what it does is it converts this to something numeric so that it can add it to $a, because plus is for addition, not for concatenation. So this is 0 plus 20 plus 0, so you get 20. So what you need there is the dots, really, or better yet, just embed it in the string, and then it'll work better. So that's a common error that you get from the fact that the language is weakly typed, combined with the fact that the concatenation operator is dot and not plus. Anyways, now we're going a bit down the rabbit hole now. What I would do is I would suggest that you take a look at on your own the 3 gotchas here. One of them is string concatenation. The other one is using single quoted strings when you mean double quoted strings. And the third one is something called assignment versus comparison. So hopefully you can see the error here. There should be 2 equal signs, not 1 equal sign. But this is actually syntactically legal. It's allowed in Python, whereas this would be caught in most other languages like Java. What it does is it assigns 6 to guess, and then this becomes if 6, which translates to true, because when you've got integers, anything that's not 0 is true. So that's another little gotcha in there, and this is a whole explanation of why that is the way that it is. Okay, but you don't necessarily need all of that to get going. It's just going to help you debug. Oh, I did want to show you one other thing, which is not in the module. Here's one of my favorite mistakes, is I'll be typing the for loop, and because I use Java so much and other languages, I will accidentally not put a $sign there. Now VS Code is catching it for me, which is good, but this will come up as a syntax error. Unexpected plus in this case, line 28. There's another error I wanted to show you though. Maybe it'll be better if I do it this way. That one's a little harder to spot because the underlined red is harder to see. The syntax errors are coming out differently in this version of PHP. There are some times when you will get a weird message. There it is. Use of undefined constant a assumed the string a. And then it warns you that one day it's going to throw an error for this. So it's just a warning. It tells you line 28. So undefined use of constant a. PHP, like other languages, does allow you to define constants, like final variables in Java, and they do not have $signs on them. So if you see something like that, use of undefined constant, the likely source of the error is that you forgot to put a $sign in front of one of your variables like that. So that fixes it. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to show you. Now, the exercises for this week, let's go over to here. So into the modules again. We want to go to Unit 1 here, Module 1 exercises. So the exercises are by section, and this one starts with exercises for Part 2, the PHP language. The first exercise says, now, by the way, I definitely recommend downloading these documents so you don't have to view them through here. But this one says, write a PHP script that displays all the even numbers from $start to $end in an unordered list. So you may have to look that up, where $start, or you may remember it. $start and $end are variables defined at the top of the script. Now for this module, if you want to see what these programs should look like when they're running, I'm going to open this in a new tab. Go over to Modules, go to Resources, and go to Code Examples Online, and then PHP Solutions for Module 1. We are in Basic PHP. Here we are, 1 counting. This is what I want you to do. I want you to just create a page. Notice this is all the numbers. This is an unordered list, all the numbers from 2 to 10,000. If you look at the page source, you won't see the code here. This is what you get here is remember, is the output of the PHP program, but I've basically used a loop. I defined a $start and a $end variable, and then inside this UL tag, I am outputting LI tags with the numbers. Okay, so make sure you get it's a pretty simple program. Make sure you get the syntax right. Try to make it as efficient as possible. Try not to have an if statement in there. Just use a loop. And then it should look more or less like this. And if you change the start and end variables, it should come out differently. So that's one exercise I would like you to try, just a very basic get your feet wet. The second, 2 and 3 actually, are to create dice rolling apps. This is a bit more fun, and you start to see a bit more of the point of what we're doing. There's a special function called rand, which produces a random integer. So if you want one from 1 to 6, you say rand16 like that, and it will generate a random integer for you. And what I want it to look like, I want it to roll, I think it's 5 dice. So here it is. So what I've done is I've used CSS. So the PHP program is generating these numbers, and then there are echo statements or expression tags to put the numbers in there. And they're generated using the rand function. The rest of it is just hard-coded HTML and some CSS to make these look like little dice. But whenever you reload, you get a different set of numbers. So now we're going to the same page over and over again, but getting different numbers each time because the PHP script on the server is generating different numbers. And question 3 added that if you roll a 1, it should be shown in red. So you do that using CSS. And if you want to see about if you view page source on this, again, you won't get the PHP code, but you can see that there are some rules here. What I've done is each of these numbers is in a div tag, and then the div rules are set up to make it look nice and square and like a die. And then I've added a class for all of them, and if it's a 1, so there's an if statement in there, if the number that I'm about to print out is a 1, then I say it's of class red, which changes the color. Whereas if it's not a 1, I don't fill anything into the class attribute there. So you may need to go look up and refresh your memory about some of these properties and how they work, some of these CSS properties, and refresh your memory about classes and things like that as well. You can do that on W3 Schools or in Module 0. But I want you to do at least the first exercise, but if you have time, try this one, because this is a bit more, slightly more realistic of what you might do. And it's going to help you to understand the separation of concerns. So the HTML and the CSS are what's making the page look the way that it does, but the content is being generated and customized by a PHP script. And there's a bunch of different ways to write this script. And at this point, they're all equally correct as long as it does what it's supposed to do and doesn't have any errors, and as long as it outputs correct HTML code. So don't forget to close all your tags and all the rest of it. You can also, if you go again under modules here, under module 1, I guess I don't have the solutions here. I will post those solutions. They're not posted right now, but the solution code will be here for all those exercises, so you can go and check it out yourself. But please do try and write it first. And I will see you in class either on Friday or Monday, and we can take up some of these exercises and take a look at the code and see how it works. Okay, any questions, or if you think I made a mistake in this video or misspoke something, you can always you can email me, or you can put a comment in the YouTube feed and I will answer it there. All right, I will see you guys. I'm hoping you all watched this as far as this video, and I will see you all in class on Friday or Monday.